Okay, time for another video. Due to cancellations, I had a bit of time this morning. I shouldn't have, but I do. Let me close this window so the sound should be better. Okay, so what I did in my previous video, which I posted an hour or so ago, let me just put my disclaimer on. One of my subscribers on Patreon sent me a letter. I gave it a quick analysis, and I'm going to do the same here, except on Telegram. You may have seen we've got Prepare OET. This is our group on Telegram, and this is Yav or Jav. I'm going to take a look at this letter and make a couple of comments. Okay, now I'm not going to look at the case notes. I'm just going to comment in general here on the vocabulary and the grammar, etc. I'm not showing case notes much these days because of copyright issues. Sometimes people start complaining about them, so all I'm doing here, I'm just correcting the response that somebody sent to the case notes. Let me just turn off my phone. That was another mail. So I'm just going to have a look at this one, and I'll put it on YouTube, etc. Okay, let's see how it goes. So, Sally McConville. Okay, so you could have put the DOB, you know, at the top. I don't remember exactly what it is, or put, you know, like age 38. So then we don't have to put it here, okay? And we know that she's a lady, presumably because of the name and title. So, well, I said before, and the criteria changes in August, which I haven't spoken about much before. The new criteria is going to be including one called purpose, which means, is it clear? And I posted a link from Swoosh and Benchmark in the channel a while back. The purpose criteria is it clear to the reader immediately what you want them to do? Okay, so I've said this before, you know, instead of saying I'm writing to refer for what is it you want them to do? So the reason for writing should be clear in the introduction, in the opening sentence of your letter, and also you need to restate it in the conclusion, as it were, at the end. Oops, get rid of that, yeah? So that should be at the end too. So I'm writing to refer Miss Sally McConville for what? I think the case note says something about urgent assessment or something else, yeah? So that's what I would put. So acute investigation, emergency, acute. So anyway, so I think the case note says something like some urgency, emergency, urgency, etc. So instead of saying I'm writing to refer blah blah blah, I'm writing to request your urgent immediate assessment of etc etc. Okay, so that's what I would do. So we don't really need this, we can get rid of it. So Miss McConville, now we don't seem to have a history passage here. We don't seem to have a social or medical history a paragraph. Now you don't strictly need one, but if it adds to the narrative, if it adds to the story that you are telling, because essentially, as I say, you are right, you are creating a narrative. You are asking someone to do something for someone else, and they want to know why. I'm writing to request your urgent assessment, blah, 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 of Miss McConville, and the first thing that they want to know is why. So either the main medical issue in paragraph 2, Miss McConville presented to me with a serious case of blah, 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 right. Or if there's a history that shows a background of asthma, or, you know, whatever the illness is, which leads up to her coming to see you and you writing to the specialist. Okay, so Miss McConville. Now, either we need a relative pronoun, either who is a known case of asthma, so we could make it a non-defining relative, a clause, so we could do it like this. So Miss McConville, put a comma, who is a known case of asthma. Okay, so that would make that a non-defining relative clause. Or we could do it like Miss McConville is a known case of asthma who first presented to me 3 days ago with a 2-day history of runny nose, a running nose, productive cough, and fever. However, her asthma was under control with blah blah blah, 2 puffs a day, every puff, 2 puffs when required. That should be plural, I think. Okay, so the order of the information that you present in a paragraph, right? So instead of jumping about, this is what she had, this was under control, you know. So Miss McConville is a known case of asthma, which is a cough. However, her asthma was under control. However, now we use this to indicate a contrast, of course, but what is the contrast here? There's no contrast yet. This is simply a list of symptoms. Yeah. So I think the asthma part, again, I'm not going to refer to the case notes, but I think this, if it's something that's been going on for some time, this should be in the history section or history paragraph. You know, Miss McConville has been, so you do something like, regarding her medical history, Miss McConville has been asthmatic since the age of blah, blah, blah. However, it is generally under control with etc. Yeah? And that would be more logical, presenting it in a history paragraph than including it here. So what we want now is like a history of visits. The patient came complaining of, I examined, found, I took this action. That's all that you need for a visit, a paragraph. What the patient says and does, what you find, what you do. And that's it. So I believe I would, again, I'm not going to look at the case notes because of copyright, but I believe that this should be part of a history. Okay? And I don't know why that is capitalized. The general physical examination was unremarkable, so don't mention it. And why put what's unremarkable first? So you put something like, upon examination, I found nasal congestion, throat redness, and scattered wheeze. Why would you put something that wasn't there and then say, oh, except for this, this, this? Wouldn't it be more logical to simply say, upon examination, I found congestion, throat, blah, 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 you know? Instead of saying something that isn't actually there. Oh, and by the way, there was nothing wrong with her whatsoever apart from, okay. So, get rid of that gap. Negation, except for, now we need a preposition there. The general physical condition was except for this congestion, throat, and scattered wheeze. I advised, now, you can't advise her a noun. You can advise her to take. But you can't simply say, I advised her, because that's not a complete sentence. And that's what you're supposed to be writing here, according to the task, complete sentences. So, I advised her to take 2 puffs of Ventolin every 4 hours. Not Ventolin 2 puffs for hourly. That's more like case notes than a complete grammatical sentence. I advised her to take 2 puffs of Ventolin every 4 hours. That's a complete grammatical phrase. Continue preventer. No idea what that means, and rest from work. Okay. I advised her to take this, to continue, whatever that is, and to rest from work, or rest from work. Okay. Now, the next thing, was presented. Why is this passive? Did someone else present her? I don't think so. So why? So why is this? So she presented. So she came. She performed the action. Was presented with fever. So this line means that somebody gave her fever. So don't make that passive. Makes no sense there. Okay. With fever, what's your punctuation? These could simply be typos. I know that some people type out on their phones, but you know, just be careful there. Just make sure that you don't write like this in the test. With shots of breath on minimal exertional exhalations, rash with difficulty in breathing. I prescribed her amoxicillin for 3 days, except that Ventolin for under what? So I. Well, that's not a complete word. And is that and? I have no idea what that is. That's supposed to be and preventer and a preventer under mood diagnosis. I'm not sure what that is either. Of infective exacerbation of asthma. Again, I presume that these are typos, especially if people have been writing on their phones, but we'll see. Now, today, she present again. I would put the name of the patient first, then use pronouns afterwards. Now, today, yes, how do you spell that? Conville presented with fever and severe shortness of breath despite antibiotics. Make a separate sentence. On examination, she. Now we need the verb. So what? She was found to be. Make it was. With respiratory rate 25. With a respiratory rate of 25. These are not grammatically complete sentences, and this is what the examiners want, so you have to be careful there. Using excessive muscles for breathing, widespread wheeze or wheezing, and basal crepitations. I gave her Ventolin. No improvement was noted until 10:45 p.m, so I decided that she needs. We wouldn't usually put an article in front of treatment, because it's usually treatment. In general terms, I decided that she needs an emergency treatment. That's why I'm referring her to you for acute investigation. So, what you usually do here is like sort of like in view of the above, I am referring her to you for emergency blah blah blah. You know, and that's the usual convention that we use there. So, what can I say to reiterate? Again, the punctuation here, I presume it's typos. What's your relative pronouns? Who? Try not to, try to make it as complete grammatically as possible, not make it look like notes. Watch your prepositions. Watch your use of passive, and make sure you've got your verbs. Okay, so not too bad, right? So that will do for today. I'll post this in the group on Telegram, and I'll do another video a bit later if anybody has anything. Okay, so hope that helps. Bye for now.